You fired him for helping a poor man? Shame on you. Jake, a kind-hearted fast food worker, offered a free meal to a struggling, hungry man. His act of kindness cost him his job, but it didn't go unnoticed. Just an hour later, an unexpected visitor arrived at the fast food restaurant, and Jake's life changed forever. In the small town of Maplewood, everyone knew each other. Nestled in the heart of the USA, Maplewood was a place where news traveled fast and community spirit thrived. Jake, a kind-hearted man in his mid-30s, worked at Benny's fast food. Unlike his peers who pursued high-flying careers, Jake followed his passion for the food industry. His parents had disapproved of his career choice, pushing him to study business instead. When Jake was 20, their disagreement led to a harsh decision. His parents kicked him out for not pursuing a business degree. Left to fend for himself, Jake was fortunate to find a job at Benny's fast food. For 7 years, he worked diligently, earning a modest living and gaining a reputation for his friendly demeanor and dedication. Despite the hardships, Jake's perseverance never wavered. One summer morning, as the sun bathed Maplewood in a warm glow, Jake decided to stop by a local coffee stand before opening the fast food restaurant. It was a small indulgence, a moment of peace before the busy day ahead. As he approached the stand, he noticed a familiar figure. Ryan, a man in his early 50s, stood nearby, looking hungry and wearing old, ragged clothes. Ryan was a former Air Force personnel, known in town for his struggles to adapt to civilian life after his wife left him. His story was well known. He had fallen into a deep depression, unable to hold a job or take care of himself. Despite Ryan's scruffy appearance, Jake greeted him warmly. "Good morning, Ryan. How are you doing today?" Ryan looked up, his eyes filled with a mix of sadness and surprise. "Morning, Jake. I'm hanging in there," he replied softly. "Let me get you a coffee," Jake offered, not waiting for Ryan to refuse. He turned to the coffee vendor and ordered 2 cups. When they were ready, he handed one to Ryan. "Here you go. It's on me." Ryan's face lit up with a rare smile. "Thank you, Jake. You didn't have to." "Nonsense," Jake replied with a chuckle. "We're friends, aren't we? Besides, everyone needs a little pick-me-up now and then." As they sipped their coffee, Jake noticed how much the small gesture had brightened Ryan's mood. "Why don't you come by Benny's later? I'll get you a meal," Jake suggested. Ryan hesitated, then nodded. "I'd like that. Thanks, Jake." Later that day, as the lunch rush died down, Jake spotted Ryan entering Benny's fast food. He greeted him with a smile and guided him to a seat. "Sit tight. I'll get you something good," Jake said, heading to the kitchen. Jake prepared a hearty meal, making sure it was one of the best dishes they served. As he brought the food to Ryan, his boss, Mrs. Thompson, watched from across the room. Mrs. Thompson, a woman in her mid-40s, was known for her strict, money-driven approach. She valued profit over people, a trait that made her unpopular among the staff. Ryan devoured the meal, his gratitude evident in every bite. "This is amazing, Jake. Thank you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. Jake smiled, feeling a sense of fulfillment. "I'm glad you like it. Anytime you need a meal, just come by." Just as Ryan was finishing his meal, Mrs. Thompson approached them. Her expression was stern. "What's going on here?" she demanded. "I gave Ryan a meal. He needed it," Jake explained, trying to remain calm. Mrs. Thompson's eyes narrowed. "Did he pay for it?" Jake shook his head. "No, I offered it to him for free." Her face reddened with anger. "Jake, this is a business, not a charity. If he can't pay, then you're fired." Ryan stood up, trying to intervene. "Please, Mrs. Thompson, I'll pay. Just give me some time." "No," Jake said firmly, looking at Ryan. "You don't have to do that. I'll handle it." The situation escalated quickly. News of Jake's firing spread through Maplewood like wildfire. The community, outraged by Mrs. Thompson's harsh decision, rallied in support of Jake. The mayor, hearing about the incident, decided to step in. He believed in kindness and community support, and he knew that Jake's act of generosity deserved recognition, not punishment. Meanwhile, Jake was unaware of the uproar his firing had caused. As he cleaned up Benny's fast food for what he thought was the last time, he couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness mixed with pride. He had done the right thing even if it meant losing his job. As the day drew to a close, an unexpected visit from the mayor would soon change Jake's life forever. The news of Jake's firing spread rapidly throughout Maplewood. It seemed like everyone in town was talking about it. People were shocked and angered by Mrs. Thompson's harsh decision to fire Jake for his act of kindness. The story of Jake buying Ryan coffee and giving him a free meal resonated deeply with the townspeople. Many knew Ryan and were aware of his struggles, and they admired Jake's compassion and generosity. Meanwhile, Jake finished cleaning up Benny's fast food, thinking it would be his last day there. He felt a mix of sadness and resolve. He had always believed in doing the right thing, and he stood by his decision to help Ryan. He didn't regret his actions, even if it meant losing his job. As Jake prepared to leave, he heard a commotion outside. Curious, he stepped out and was surprised to see a crowd gathering in front of the restaurant. Among them were the mayor and Ryan, who looked determined. "Jake, we need to talk," the mayor said as he approached. He was a man known for his dedication to the community and his belief in kindness and support. "What's going on, Mayor?" Jake asked, still trying to process the situation. "We heard about what happened," the mayor replied, "and we believe what you did was an act of kindness that should be celebrated, not punished." Mrs. Thompson, who had been watching from the doorway, stepped out, her face a mask of irritation. "Mayor, with all due respect, this is my business, and I make the rules." The mayor turned to her, his expression serious. "Mrs. Thompson, Jake's act of kindness reflects the values of our community. We take care of each other here in Maplewood. Your decision to fire him is not only unfair but goes against everything we stand for." Mrs. Thompson crossed her arms, unmoved. "This is a business, Mayor, not a charity. We can't just give away free meals." The mayor didn't back down. "Perhaps you've forgotten the true spirit of this town, but the people here haven't." He turned to the crowd. "Who among you supports Jake?" A chorus of voices rose in support of Jake. People stepped forward, sharing their own stories of Jake's kindness and how he had helped them in various ways. It was clear that Jake had made a significant impact on the community. Ryan, who had been standing quietly, finally spoke up. "Jake didn't just give me a meal. He gave me hope. In a moment when I felt invisible and worthless, he showed me kindness. And I know I'm not the only one who feels this way." The mayor nodded. "Thank you, Ryan." "Jake, on behalf of the community, I want to present you with a certificate of recognition for your kindness and a token of our appreciation." He handed Jake a certificate and a large white envelope. Jake was overwhelmed as he opened the envelope. Inside was a substantial amount of money, a gift from the townspeople who had contributed to show their gratitude. Tears welled up in Jake's eyes as he looked at the crowd. "I don't know what to say. Thank you, everyone. This means more to me than you'll ever know." Mrs. Thompson, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, tried to regain control. "This doesn't change anything. Jake is still fired." The mayor frowned. "I think it's clear that the people of Maplewood don't support your decision, Mrs. Thompson, and I think it's time for you to reconsider how you run your business." With the support of the mayor and the townspeople, Jake felt a renewed sense of hope. He decided to use the money to open his own cafe, a place where everyone would be welcome and kindness would be the guiding principle. A few months later, Jake's Cafe opened its doors in the heart of Maplewood. The townspeople flocked to the new establishment, eager to support Jake. The cafe quickly became a popular spot, known not just for its delicious food and coffee, but for the warm, welcoming atmosphere that Jake had created. Ryan became a regular at the cafe, often helping out in any way he could. He found a sense of purpose and community at Jake's Cafe, something he had lost after leaving the Air Force. The overwhelming success of Jake's Cafe led to the opening of a second branch. Meanwhile, Benny's Fast Food, run by Mrs. Thompson, saw a sharp decline in business. People preferred to support Jake, whose kindness had touched their hearts. Eventually, Mrs. Thompson was forced to close Benny's Fast Food. She learned a hard lesson about the importance of treating people with respect and compassion, but it was too late to save her business. Through perseverance and the support of his community, Jake not only transformed his own life, but also made Maplewood a better place. His story was a testament to the power of kindness and the impact it could have on an entire community. The opening of Jake's Cafe marked a new chapter in Jake's life. The cafe quickly became a beloved spot in Maplewood, known not only for its delicious food and coffee, but also for the warm, welcoming atmosphere Jake had created. Every morning, the smell of freshly brewed coffee and baked goods wafted through the air, drawing in the townspeople. Jake had made sure his cafe was a place where everyone felt welcome. He hired a small team of enthusiastic employees who shared his vision of kindness and community. Among them was Ryan, who had become a regular at the cafe. Ryan found a renewed sense of purpose working at Jake's Cafe. He helped with various tasks, from serving customers to maintaining the cafe, and in return, Jake provided him with a steady income and a place where he felt valued. The townspeople embraced Jake's Cafe wholeheartedly. They appreciated Jake's commitment to making everyone feel special, and the cafe became a hub of social activity. From early morning until late afternoon, the cafe buzzed with conversations and laughter. Families, friends, and even solo patrons found comfort in the cozy environment Jake had created. One particularly busy afternoon, as Jake was bustling around the cafe, he noticed a group of townspeople talking animatedly at a table. Among them was the mayor, who had played a significant role in helping Jake get back on his feet. Jake walked over to greet them. "Good afternoon, everyone," Jake said with a smile. "How are you all doing today?" The mayor looked up and beamed. "Jake, your cafe is truly wonderful. It's exactly what Maplewood needed." "Thank you, Mayor. That means a lot," Jake replied, his heart swelling with pride. "I couldn't have done it without the support of everyone here." As Jake continued to chat with the group, Mrs. Thompson entered the cafe. She had heard about Jake's success and, driven by curiosity and a touch of envy, decided to see for herself. She stood at the entrance, observing the bustling cafe and the happy faces of the patrons. Jake noticed her and walked over, extending a hand in greeting. "Mrs. Thompson, welcome to Jake's Cafe. What can I get for you?" Mrs. Thompson hesitated, taken aback by Jake's kindness despite their past. I just wanted to see how things were going," she said, her voice softer than usual. "Well, business is good, and the community has been incredibly supportive," Jake replied, his tone sincere. "Would you like a coffee? It's on the house." Mrs. Thompson nodded slowly, accepting the offer. As Jake prepared her coffee, she watched him interact with his staff and customers, noticing the genuine warmth and camaraderie that filled the cafe. It was a stark contrast to the atmosphere at Benny's fast food, which had been driven by profit and efficiency rather than community and care. When Jake handed her the coffee, Mrs. Thompson took a sip and sighed. "Jake, I have to admit, you've created something special here." "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. That means a lot coming from you," Jake said. He paused, then added, "I learned a lot from my time at Benny's, both good and bad. It helped shape how I wanted to run my own place." Mrs. Thompson nodded thoughtfully. "I see that now. I made mistakes, Jake. I focused too much on the business and not enough on the people. And I lost everything because of it." Jake placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "It's never too late to change, Mrs. Thompson. Everyone deserves a second chance." Moved by Jake's words, Mrs. Thompson left the cafe with a lot to think about. The experience was humbling, and she began to reconsider her approach to business and life. As weeks turned into months, Jake's Cafe continued to flourish. The second branch opened its doors, further cementing Jake's reputation as a beloved figure in Maplewood. The community's support never wavered, and the cafe became a symbol of what could be achieved through kindness and perseverance. Ryan, once struggling and lost, now found himself part of a thriving community. He had regained his confidence and sense of purpose, thanks to Jake's unwavering support. Jake's act of kindness had not only changed his own life, but also profoundly impacted those around him. With each passing day, Jake's Cafe stood as a testament to the power of community, and the enduring impact of kindness. The transformation of Maplewood was a story that everyone in town took pride in, a reminder that true success is measured not by wealth, but by the lives we touch and the positive change we inspire. The months that followed saw Jake's Cafe become more than just a place to grab a coffee or a meal. It became the heart of Maplewood. People gathered there to share their stories, celebrate their successes, and support each other through tough times. The cafe had become a true symbol of community spirit. Ryan had blossomed in his new role, becoming a pillar of support for Jake and the cafe's regulars. His transformation was evident to everyone who knew him. He had regained his confidence, his sense of purpose, and his place in the community. One crisp autumn morning, Jake received a surprise visit from the mayor, who brought with him some exciting news. "Jake, I wanted to let you know that the town council has decided to honor you with a community service award. Your dedication and kindness have made a significant impact on Maplewood." Jake was taken aback, a smile spreading across his face. "Thank you, Mayor. I'm truly honored. But this wouldn't have been possible without the support of everyone here." As the award ceremony approached, excitement buzzed through the town. The day finally arrived, and the entire community gathered at the town square. Jake stood on the stage, looking out at the faces of friends, family, and supporters. Ryan stood beside him, a testament to Jake's belief in second chances. The mayor stepped up to the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, today we honor Jake, whose acts of kindness and unwavering commitment to our community have brought us closer together. His cafe is more than a business. It's a beacon of hope and unity. Jake, please accept this award as a token of our appreciation." Jake accepted the award, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "Thank you, everyone. This award belongs to all of us. It's a reflection of what we can achieve when we come together and support each other." The crowd erupted in applause, and as Jake looked over at Ryan, he felt a sense of pride and fulfillment. Ryan had become a true friend and ally, someone who had helped make the cafe a success. After the ceremony, the celebration moved to Jake's Cafe, where people shared food, laughter, and stories late into the night. Mrs. Thompson was among the guests, having taken Jake's advice to heart. She had started volunteering at community events, striving to make amends for her past mistakes. The success of Jake's Cafe had a ripple effect throughout Maplewood. Other businesses began to adopt a more community-focused approach, inspired by Jake's example. The town thrived as people prioritized kindness and support over competition. As the evening drew to a close, Jake stood outside the cafe, looking up at the stars. Ryan joined him, and they stood in comfortable silence, reflecting on how far they had come. "Thank you for believing in me, Jake," Ryan said quietly. "You gave me a second chance when I thought all was lost." Jake smiled, clapping Ryan on the shoulder. "We all deserve a second chance, Ryan, and I couldn't have done this without you." The story of Jake's Cafe was one of transformation, not just for Jake and Ryan, but for the entire town of Maplewood. It was a reminder that kindness, perseverance, and community support could change lives and create a brighter future for everyone. With the stars shining brightly above them, Jake knew that the journey was far from over. There were still more acts of kindness to be done, more lives to touch, and more dreams to achieve. And with the support of his community, Jake was ready to continue making a difference, one cup of coffee at a time.